Okay, this is number 5. And just like the previous 4, we need to find the domain. We need to find the vertical asymptotes or coordinates of the point of discontinuity, the pod. We need to find the equation of the horizontal or slant asymptote. We need to find the x and y intercepts, and we need to graph it. So the first thing is I noticed right from the beginning that the top there can factor out, has a GCF of x. So let's rewrite it like that. So we're going to factor it, and we get x plus 3 over x plus 3. And if, actually, and I noticed that this cancels out this. So really I have to, what I am going to graph is this, y equals x. My graph has to be y equals x. Now there might be some things that are give me a problem on it, but it's ultimately going to be like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a line here right away, and I'm going to graph y equals x, because I know that that's my graph. Okay, so that's my line. Now, if you leave it like that, you're wrong, because we've got to check for some other things. Like, what are you not allowed to have in there? So the domain says, what are you not allowed to have? Well, when you check the domain, x is not allowed to be negative 3. Well, where's negative 3? Negative 3 is here, and where's it going to hit that line? Right there. We got a problem here. You cannot, if I do this, you cannot hit here. You're not allowed to hit there. So that's a problem there. Let's just erase all that. So that's a problem there. But you can see I don't really have any asymptotic behavior, so this must be a pod. This must be a pod. A point of discontinuity. Now how else would I know it was at negative 3? Well, I also noticed, what did I cross off? The graph was y equals x, but it had these other two parts that were built in that really go away. So I know I have a pod at negative 3. And what's the value of it? Well, take negative 3. Let's do it right here. And let's put it into y equals x. So y equals x. And x is supposed to be negative 3, so y equals negative 3. So that's my pod. So what I really need to do is erase out right here. And what I really need to do is put a circle there. Okay? So my pod is negative 3, negative 3. Okay, you're basically done graphing it, but we're supposed to go through the steps. So let's just go vertical asymptotes. It turns out x equals negative 3, but it's not really an asymptote, it's a pod. Okay, so I kind of jumped ahead here. It wasn't x equals negative 3. Kind of gave us a hint what it was. Not equal to negative 3. We usually draw a vertical asymptote, but we didn't have to. We didn't have to in this case. And then if you want, there's no horizontal asymptotes because the degree of the top is bigger than the bottom. So if you wanted to, there's a slant asymptote. So you could go, okay, let's go do some synthetic division here. I got minus 3 on the bottom, and the top is x squared. So I'm using this part right here, using this numerator right there to write it out. So I'm going to write 1, 3, and then there's 0 constants. So I'm doing that right here, so that's 1, negative 3, 0. And remember, this was x squared, x, so this must be x. So we already know the slant asymptote. Y equals 1x, or y equals x. And that doesn't really surprise us, because look what we were left with at the top here. In this particular special case, the slant asymptote is the line there, and it's really not an asymptote, it's really the graph of it. So you could really say there are no asymptotes in this case, slant or vertical or horizontal, because of the easiness of the graph. Okay, and then we got the x-intercept. Well, I already know what it is. It's 0, 0, but okay, you want to go through the the process. Okay, so you want the top equal to 0. So we want x, let's just wait. The top was x equal to 0. Why am I not putting this guy in? Well, he canceled out. He's not part of the graph. So I don't have to put x plus 3 equal to 0 and get x equals negative 3, because we already know you can't have negative 3 for x. So it's not part of the graph. So we just have to look at that. The x equals 0, which means it's 0, 0. The y-intercept, that's where x equals 0. If you put zeros in, the top becomes 0. The bottom becomes 3, and that's still 0. And x was 0, y 0. We got that there. I've graphed it. I'm done the problem.